Slow clap, baby. You know what it is, man. It's another Friday, and it's the Ball Hawk Sports Talk with your boy B Brown, ESQ, aka the Ball Hawk, aka the Mountain South, aka Mr. Excess Celebration, aka Breezy. We are in the second week of January as we are getting rolling in 2022. We got the crew coming to you. You know how we do it every single Friday. We do it rough, rugged, and raw. It is the entire crew bringing you ball, hog, sports talk, sports business, and entertainment. Today's episode is going to go by the title, Cruise Control. We all know what cruise control is in terms of a vehicle. When you just set the speed, you sit back and you relax. Tesla, now everything is cruise control. They got these self-driving cars. But cruise control, when it comes to what we're going to do today, has a lot to do with how we're settling in, how the speed is sort of picking up in terms of college basketball, in terms of NFL, NBA, a whole bunch of stories this week, and the stories on the periphery, a whole bunch of entertainment within that sports, within that business. So we're going to bring it to you today. It's going to be a cruise control episode. I know a lot of people have already broken their New Year's resolutions. I know that the gym is back to its normal traffic because so many people are in cruise control, getting ready for whatever it is they have to do. And we're going to be in cruise control today as the Ball Hawk Sports Talk comes to you. The crew is coming to you in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's make sure you fasten the seatbelt. Now, let's go. Wake up, wake up, wake up, and stay woke. Because this is the Ball Hawk Sports Talk with your boy, B Brown, ESQ, a.k.a. the Ball Hog, a.k.a. the Mouth of the South. This is the place where sports, business, and entertainment collide. And we're going to give it to you rough, rugged, and raw. So come get you a spoonful, like some grits with butter and salt. You know how we do it in the South, y'all. Make sure you do not get caught in your feelings. Strap on your seatbelt and enjoy the ride. Come on, let's go, 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 go. Yes, yes, yes. I sing it today because I'm so excited to have another week, another Friday, another opportunity to hop into some sports business and entertainment. First up, part of the crew, you know who he is. Needs no introduction, but I'm gonna give him one anyway. It's the Big Flow Show.
Good, America. Talking to you guys real quick right before I jump on a flight to go to Vegas. I had to spend some time with my people before I go out there and gamble my whole future away.
Vegas is in the playoffs too, right? So you're out there at a very interesting time, man. Make sure that you, whatever happens in Vegas, stays in Vegas. Don't have your camera phone out, but I know you know your best.
When is the game? Is it at the Bengals?
Vegas plays on. I don't know where they play. That's a great question. I gotta figure that out. But I know that Vegas is in the playoffs by way of that ridiculous and crazy game. One of the most ridiculous situations, crazy situations ever, if you think about it. In an NFL game, both teams are in a situation that all they got to do is tie. All they got to do is tie, and they both in. What's up, my man? Y'all, Tony Sands there from Get Sensational. He does his thing, man. Training down in South Florida. Was a great college. Still holds a whole bunch of records at Kansas, but happens to be a Cowboys fan. You see, while I love T. Sands, I love what he's doing. He is one of those obnoxious Cowboys fans. You see the words, how about them Cowboys? We're going to get to that, how about them Cowboys? But last week's episode of NFL, when the season comes down to basically, I don't know where that echo is coming from. That might be mine. But the season basically comes down to a potential tie. Did you think that the Chargers were going, excuse me, I'm saying that. Shows you how tired I am. Did you think that the Raiders were going to let the game play out and take a knee? Were you shocked by the ending?
They took the time. The Chargers took the timeout. I think that was what made everybody kind of check themselves.
They always take timeouts. They always go 4 on 4. They always take the timeouts. They are part of the Billy Bean, analytics team. They like the how numbers play for football because they always do that. And I said that early in the year, and it came back to bite them. But I thought that the Raiders were just going to take a knee because even the commentators said it. You don't even want to take the risk of lining up that gets blocked. Somebody scoops it up, scores. Now you're out of the playoffs.
But they took the timeout, so that was the thing where the Raiders, from the way they talked about it, they were willing to they were going to run the clock out, and then the Chargers called the timeout, and then the Raiders are like, "Hold on, if they're trying to win, we're trying to win," and then Chargers basically shot themselves in the foot with a timeout. Could have been in the playoffs.
Man, and the only people that were happy were Steelers fans. They're sitting back waiting on one of the teams to win.
Ben's not happy. He was ready to be up out of there.
Every time I try to retire.
Look, man, I left this thing without a major injury.
I started thinking, and I'm not a big conspiracy theorist, but when you go into the game knowing that the only outcome that prevents the Steelers from getting into the playoffs is a tie, which we've only had one of those this year, that's not a very frequent occurrence. I started thinking maybe it was rigged, man. Maybe like all you needed was a tie, and you telling me after this, like they gone 4 quarters and overtime, they're really about to tie. The odds of that happening had to be low to begin the game. Yet we were inches away from it happening. But the Chargers outfought themselves again.
But they convert like 5 fourth downs in the second half in overtime.
Yeah, but they look throughout the year. They've been living on a prayer for a while. So and I recall that interesting conversation I had with a Chargers fan when they beat the Browns after going for it on fourth, and we went back and forth, and I've talked about it here on the show. So I got to be honest, I for one was happy that the Chargers lost, but what a weird situation, man. What a weird situation. So let's answer that question because there's a question that was posed. Well, before we get to that, we got to at least talk about some college football. Some might also call it pro football because there was a national championship game on Monday. Did it do everything that you thought it was going to do? I know I was glued to the TV. It was a game until literally the very last possession of the game. The interception sealed it, but Alabama's has the ball. They've got to score and get a 2-point conversion in order to tie it and take Georgia into overtime. Everybody in America, including everyone who plays for Georgia and all their fans, thought that indeed that's exactly what was going to happen. What's going to happen? It's Nick Saban. You got a Heisman Trophy winning quarterback, and it's Alabama. You were even waiting until the cornerback who intercepted the ball, the freshman, I can't think of his name, but anyway, you're waiting until he scored the touchdown because it was like it's almost incredible that someone's going to beat Saban in a national championship game. Great game, I thought.
What is he? 50% in championship games or higher?
I don't know. Probably. It feels as though he's 100%. I know he's not, but it feels as though he's 100%. It's the same thing.
There, what, like 7 times? How many times has he been there? 7.
Or did he win 7? They've been there 11, I think.
Biggest story of the national championship game. What do you guys think it is? Because you can't call it an upset. Georgia
touchdowns in the first half.
Big story.
Yeah, especially after the first game.
What would you say it is, Big Flo Show?
I mean, to the way you started off, I mean, Saban in the championship, Georgia's perennial chokers, if you think about it. They haven't won it since 1980, and they always have a top recruiting class. Every year, they've never not had a top recruiting class, and they never win it. They always lose the big game. They always find a way to screw it up. So to come down to it and have a clutch, you know what it was? That freshman, he ain't know all that. He didn't do his history. He didn't read it. So he picked it off and he sealed it. And that wasn't supposed to happen. He was supposed to tip the ball up, and they were supposed to catch it, and it was supposed to be over. So I just think, beating Saban in the championship, that's always the story. It's like beating Belichick.
Of course, the QB always gets the love, but in this particular instance, Stetson Bennett deserves the love. He's all of 5'9", maybe, on a good day, in platform heels. He's a short quarterback, right? And he's got the designation of being a walk-on at one point. He was a preferred walk-on. He transferred to a community college, went, got his weight up, got his stats up, came back. And there's no way he was supposed to be starting because you got USC's quarterback that transfers to Georgia. There's no way you think that Stetson Bennett is going to ascend the depth chart and win that starting job. At one point, I think he was 5th on the depth chart. So we all love the underdog in America. But this is a whole different level of underdog. The fact that that guy gets the starting job, goes out and plays well, with all the Georgia faithful still doubting him. Throughout the year, the thing has been, can we win despite Stetson Bennett? And he made one of the biggest throws in Georgia football history, if not the biggest throw in Georgia football history, and the biggest moment in a national championship game. He threw a absolute dime on an out route to keep the drive going, because Alabama's defense and the pressure, they have a track team at defensive line. I've never seen collectively a defense line that fast.
Yeah.
And Stetson Bennett was able to do it. He got the Good Morning America invitation. To me, that's the story of all stories. But there's other storylines, man. You know, Kirby finally does what he has not been able to do. He beats Nick Saban. Has the Midas touch of Nick Saban worn off? Because now that's the second time in the exact same season, after being undefeated against his proteges, against his the coaches that were assistants under him. Now he has not lost once but twice to former assistant coaches. Has the luster worn off? Have they figured out Saban?
No, I think at the end of the day, you know, Georgia's been getting top recruiting classes for a while. I think we give a little too much credit because look, Saban is a great coach in entirety, right? He recruits well, he motivates them. You know, he gets good assistant coaches that leave him all the time and coordinators that leave him all the time. I think that gets spoken about is the fact that Nick Saban is putting together a new coaching staff all the time. I mean, now, granted, he has NFL head coaches that are like quality control specialists, so it's not like he has bad staff, but he's constantly switching the staff. So we're seeing the same football, but we're seeing a lot of different ingredients all the time. But I mean, just like LSU dominated that one year, Georgia dominated, Clemson's dominated. You know, they got a collection of talent, and people are getting more. I mean, think about it. There's more first-round draft choices on Georgia's team right now than most NFL teams.
That's crazy.
If you think about that, right? Everybody gets one first-round draft choice a year. Average, you know, guys gonna maybe first-round draft choice gonna probably 7 or 8 years be gone. These dudes have probably six first-round draft choices for this draft, and then next year's draft, somebody who you didn't realize was a first-round draft pick was starting, and whatever. You have all that talent that's going to be there. And that's what's winning these championships games. So
you just think it's just because even in the latest early recruiting, number one in recruiting, early signing period was Texas A&M, Jimbo. Yep, Jimbo was the other coach that was able to beat Nick Saban this year. Number two, you know him by name and sometimes by nightmare because he beats everybody. Nick Saban, Alabama's number two in the early signing period. And then number three, who else? Other than the other understudy who was able to beat Nick Saban this year, and Georgia, Kirby has the number 3 recruiting. So you're right, the talent is there, but he's been able to overcome that.
Yeah.
How do you? I mean, but how do you say that the lust, like basically as if there's this big fall from grace? He was in the national championship again. Listen, to be able to organize, to keep a group of 18 to 21-year-olds focused, disciplined enough, no matter how talented they are, year after year, to get to the national championship, right, and not get walked on necessarily.
You talking about championships? I guess
every year. I mean, look, you can't. There's too many factors.
Yeah.
For us to be saying that the Nick Saban era is over or the empire has fallen.
I'm just saying maybe we see
you're being a real catastrophic right now.
It's still a Lamborghini, but it doesn't have a scratch on it. Like it might.
They were in the national championship.
It just didn't get the best parking spot. It got the same.
Right. Still you got to carry your groceries a little bit further to the door.
One step. It depends if you're left-handed or right-handed, which side you prefer to be on. Anyway.
But before 2021, before this season, it was a death sentence to go into a game against Nick Saban to have the designation of having coached under him at one point. Jimbo
Those
Fisher
are phony stats, though. Those are phony stats. I mean, I don't know. I don't like this.
It don't feel like it feels like Big Brother. It feels as though, like, you know, look, you got a brother.
He had the better team when he played.
You have an older brother.
It wasn't like he's upsetting people, and the understudies are getting upset. He's beating them with a better football team. Now he did beat Georgia's face the first time, but you know, and
Georgia had the better team.
Georgia had the better team, but they were missing some people that came back. Bama's lost 2 receivers since that game. You know, when you're talking about the best of the best of the best, you know, we all kind of thought that number 84 was that freshman receiver. I can't remember what his name was, but he came in the game. We all thought, oh, here it comes. We're going to go see the next superstar. He's going to come out at receiver, you know, but he couldn't. He dropped passes. He dropped many passes. He couldn't do stuff. He wasn't ready. But they lost their Messi, and then they lost the kid that blew his knee out on that deep
James
Williams.
Yeah.
I mean, you lose your top 2 weapons at receiver, and Georgia's in there, and I think Georgia got somebody back that wasn't in the first game.
It wasn't in the first game. I don't know who that was.
So it was a conversation. I was part.
Yeah, I mean, and Alabama was down to their 4th corner. You know, through injury. So
let's not just throw those things away and say
none of
those
studies
studies got him, and now it's all over and it's switched around. I mean, are we saying the same thing about Clemson now? Are they done? Are they no longer a top program because of 1 year they had a bad season? It's Kirby Smart. I mean, we don't even talk about them, right?
I think Dabo did a great job considering to keep them on task and win that bowl game. They only had 3 losses. At the end of the day, like we talked about them as though they were
like they're trash.
The trash, right? They don't. But all of those things have been true in the past. Yet Nick Saban has decided to win. You're right. Maybe he just didn't get the parking spot this year. I don't want to go too fast, too reckless. But no one had ever beat him that had coached under him before. And in this season,
too much is made of that.
So too much. You mentioned Jameis Williams getting hurt, and the opt-out conversation by way of Kirk Herbstreit and Desmond Howard we talked about last week really got a lot of attention. But when you see a guaranteed first rounder who has been phenomenal all season, Mechie gets hurt and Williams hops in like
get drafted first round still
going. But to see him tear his ACL, and as soon as he went down, you almost knew it was an ACL.
It was nasty.
Doesn't that give almost validation to the gentleman who decided not to play in the bowl game because he might have lost a lot of money with one catch? And shout out to him, hats off to him. He made the catch. It was a beautiful catch, and it was a big play for that drive. Yet his ACL was unable to survive the drive. If he's not on the field, he's not in on that play. He doesn't get hurt, and we're not questioning whether or not first round money went down the drain by playing in an amateur air quote game.
So that one's it's so yeah, right. Like there's no money. I mean, he made the same amount of money if he played as if he didn't play, right? So if he didn't play in the game, but I have to think as somebody that is just competitive and knows the sport, like I couldn't imagine getting to the national championship and just saying like, I'm street clothes, I'm out, I'm not going to play in this game. Like I can't wrap my head around that. Like now, if it was like the Joe's Auto Body Bowl or whatever, then like maybe, right? But the national championship, I don't know. I don't know if I could just sit there and be like, you know what, these M's, I gotta protect these M's. I'm out. I'm not playing with y'all. Good luck.
I could do it. I could absolutely do it because I think and look, man, judge me if you want. But I think back to Jalen Smith playing in that Fiesta Bowl, and it wasn't for a national championship game, but he tears his knee, and at that point they were saying he could possibly Notre Dame linebacker. That he could possibly be the number 1 pick. Now he dropped to maybe the first or second pick of the second round, so he didn't drop out of the draft, and that's still good money. And I'm sure he had an insurance policy, but an insurance policy pales in comparison to being the pick. And not only is it the money that you get in that moment, but if you're the number 1 pick, you get every opportunity to prove them right. Right? Like you get opportunities. Jalen Smith's already been cut by the Cowboys. And you don't need to look any further than my own team, the Cleveland Browns, to see if you're the number 1 pick, you get every shot to prove them right. Yes, that was a shot at my quarterback, Baker Mayfield. But I could absolutely sit on the sideline and watch. Now, because I am, I think, a good teammate and a good sport, I would be on the sideline.
You would cheer. You would cheer the hardest.
I would be hard,
hey,
bro.
Dude, if you're not gonna play in the championship game, you're not invited.
Yeah, you better be doing.
There will be no
flips.
ticket at will call for you, and you are not coming on the bus.
No, I got you don't need no pump up tape. I am the live pump up tape. I'm gonna be.
You're gonna be the mascot. You would put on the helmet. All
you're
that
better
stuff,
off claiming COVID. Hey, dog,
so I'm gonna have a whole routine. At halftime, I'm gonna do my own halftime routine in the locker room to make sure that them boys ready. I'm gonna do my part, but I gotta get this.
That's just more look at me stuff. That's more receiver look at me stuff.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to hear that. Look,
Right. You take your shirt off. Would you take your shirt off in the
hurt
end
your draft
zone?
stock. If
All
you
of
set
that.
out the national championship game, the selfishness that's really showing, I think I have a hard time drafting you first. You're that
Really?
selfish.
That's why you're not a GM, because every
Nah.
GM would still draft him. Every
So
single
you should
one.
be looking at it as you shouldn't be looking at it like that, Mr. GM. You should be looking at it as this gentleman, this ball
Cares so
player
much about the team he's not on.
knows
yet.
how to protect my investment. Even before it's my investment, he knows how.
He
So if I
knew
get him
was
on the
gonna
field,
draft him second.
I'm protecting the investment, baby. But you talked about Jameis Williams, and we wish him nothing but a speedy recovery. Young man, he's gonna bounce back from it.
He's going to still get drafted in the first round.
Yeah,
In
So
the future, people are going to start paying you extra. Whatever his Nike contract he's going to have, or the thrifty contract he has, they're going to get a bonus for going to the national championship, as any endorsement probably would.
right.
And it'll be worth the risk somewhat with the insurance policies these days.
I think they should do that anyway. If you're the title sponsor, there should be at least 5 players. Make it 6. So you can go 3 on each team. That you have to designate a certain fund that the money goes to them in order for them to play, to entice them to play, because it is what it is. Now they're saying Stetson Bennett, by way of playing and doing what he did and having a performance and having a story and the Good Morning America worthy story, that he is now, from a name, image, and likeness perspective, earned himself close to $400,000 by just going out there.
65.
That's real money.
That's real money. And his draft stock probably wasn't first round.
He's not getting drafted. Never say never, but chances are. Interesting, man. But now, because Stetson Bennett he's experienced sort of this whole new phenomenon of what it means to be a transient college football player. He transferred. He was a walk-on. And why am I saying that? Because there's sort of a jam log. If you look at between the transfer portal and this new COVID exemption year, it's commonplace now. It was an outlier for a player to get that injury year, right? To get the injury redshirt year. Now it's going to be commonplace that 6-year seniors are going to be normal because they have a COVID exemption year. And I think it's going to have a jam log on the high school recruiting pipeline. It'll be interesting. I think there are going to be studies about this 2-year gap that shows a lot of players that didn't get scholarships because of this COVID exemption year. And everyone's trying to pad their stats and get the bet. Notre Dame got a few transfers. They just got a freaking kicker. Kickers are in the transfer portal now.
Arkansas State, baby.
Yeah, actually, I think he was a grad transfer. But it's going to be interesting to see this jam log of what the transfer, more of the COVID exemption year, but in addition to the COVID exemption year,
no, he's an exemption year because he started for 4 years in college. Actually, the backup kicker was one of my son's teammates was there. He started 4 years in college, played all those years, but he gets the extra COVID year. It's funny because that COVID year is like given to the people we think about that don't even really need it. The reason why they put that COVID year is they thought the season wasn't really going to happen the right way and it was going to be marred with all kind of cancellations, but people played every single game and they still get an extra year.
I don't know if I love it, man, because there's a kid from some random city, USA, that's not going to get a scholarship opportunity because of the COVID exemption year. So, and I said it during the time, sometimes you got to just tell young people, life ain't fair. It ain't. And it just so happens to be that you were born in an era and went to college at a time that there's a pandemic. You're going to take your 5 to play 4 like everybody else and move on. Because trying to help them, trying to make sure everybody got a trophy and be air quote fair, that they got the opportunity to play their 4 years under air quote normal circumstances, has unintended consequences. And those unintended consequences mean that there's a kid from some other city that's not going to get a scholarship because they didn't expand the number of scholarships. So interesting time, man. Interesting time. And I know your son just went through the recruiting process, so you probably know some kids that haven't gotten offered. Or
I said, I don't know if I talked about last week. Eastern Michigan signed 5 kids this year. So through the super seniors, and the transfer portal, they only offered 5 kids an opportunity to play in college, which is crazy. Normally, it's 22 kids is the average.
Right.
5.
And then you average that out across, 130 schools. I mean, the excitement that's happening at JUCOs, junior colleges will probably have some studs, even more than they had before.
And we called it free agency last week. It feels more and more like free agency when you add the COVID exemption year in. Teams are trying to fill out their roster with mature players that have a lot of college experience that are going to give them the best chance to win right now. Like college football used to be about the development.
Mm-hmm.
That used to be about the development. And we laugh at it now because people won't even watch the bowl games. They're like, man, there's nothing but young players in there. Like that used to be the heart of college football. Young players that just came out of some high school. You get to watch them play early, but things have changed. It's becoming more and more professional, not only with name, image, and likeness, but the approach to winning right now. All right. We don't often get to do this on the Ball Hawk Sports Talk. So I'm going to take the alley-oop here, and we're going to slam this conversation home when it comes to the NHL. Because there was a game, regular season NHL game this week that had all the attention of the block, or I like to say the hood. Black folk watched an NHL game by way of yours truly, South Florida's finest, baby. Haitian sensation Kodak Black was at a Florida Panthers game. It looked like he was on his way to the studio because after he's got some footage in the studio, or maybe he had just left the studio. But he's in a Florida Panthers game, and he's sitting right on the glass. Somehow, some way, looked like he was a bit inebriated. His pants fall down. And you think that would be the story of all story? Kodak Black being at the NHL game. Big story. Who knew? And then second, the man's pants fall down. Story can't get any better than that, right?
At least he had on tights, though.
That's what we doing. The bar is so low.
The
bar is low. You said at least he had on tights. Where's the future of our country? The bar is low. This is who you call your hero. Yeah. But so pants fall down. You think that would be the story? Not so fast, my friend. He's in a box, and maybe he forgot that the whole world has cell phones because he gets recorded getting a lap dance.
Getting jiggy with it
at an NHL game in a box. And it's sort of, to a certain degree, I'm like, oh, man, he's just living his best life. But then the other side, I'm like, oh, man, Kodak Black, you picked this, the whitest of all white sports? Maybe not. Maybe NASCAR is whiter. But you picked this moment to go act like that? Can't you just come on?
1A, 1B.
So,
like, Kodak.
At one point, he was side of the ice. Well, when he got the dance, was that on the side, or was he up in the box?
That was in the box. That was in the luxury box.
So you start thinking, okay, this dude just wants to be seen somewhere, right? He's trying. Maybe he thought he'd pick up some new fans. So he had a luxury box, but then he also spent side and front row seats, went back and forth. Pick one, man. Pick an expensive seat and sit there. Like it wasn't good enough when you were in the box.
At a hockey game. Why is he at a hockey game?
Portable seats.
Hey, because all the rappers going to the NBA games, all the rappers on the sidelines of NFL games, he wanted to do something different. And I gotta admit that initially I'm like, oh, this is cool, Kodak Black at an NHL game, but it turned left quickly when I saw that he was in a premium seat box getting a lap dance, and apparently his significant other took issue with it too. He said that the person who was giving his lap dance is his artist. So maybe it's just a publicity stunt, but it did work.
Yeah.
We talked about it. It did work.
He just introduced himself to 15,000 white people.
Everyone's a winner. But hey, $10. Who can name what game he was at? Who's playing? See?
The Panthers.
But there's 15,000 white people that know who Kodak Black is now.
Well, it's funny because nobody knew who the hell.
That's called guerrilla marketing.
Guerrilla marketing. Hey, and the white guy who is showing the video of this random black guy's pants falling down. I was like, who is that? Like, he really didn't know who it was.
You know what?
Now he'll never forget.
Most of the black people don't know who the hell he was either. They were like, who the hell is that dude? They heard the name before, but they ain't.
Come on, man. I'm a Bryan County boy. I know who Kodak is. Get him, Kodak.
I don't appreciate you telling everybody he Haitian either.
He is Haitian, man. So power. Yeah, he's straight up Haitian. But guess what? Him being the rapper at an NHL game brings us to another rapping conversation when it comes to the sports world. because we found out that a rap career is taking off right before our eyes, budding right before our eyes. We saw him in the studio. Yours truly, my cousin, AB, has now been spotted with the likes of Kanye West. You ever heard of him? He's with the likes of Madonna. Ever heard of her? He is being spotted recording videos, music videos. Does AB's rap career have a chance? Am I tripping? Because the first time I heard not from the pit and palace, I was like, nah, bro, hang it up, go run some routes, go get on anybody's team, make yourself a playoff push. But if Kanye believes in you, if Madonna believes in you, who am I to question the prowess of AB as a rapper?
He's got the behavior down pat. He's got the behavior down pat. He knows how to act like a rapper, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so he's done that. He's done that portion. How to draw attention to himself.
Kodak Black drops his pants at an NHL game. AB
says, "Hold my beer. I'll take my shirt off while playing." I mean,
maybe Kodak Black was inspired by AB.
Yeah, you're right.
Does life imitate art? But AB is look. I wish him well, man. But he's going further and further out there. And of course, he's sitting right next to Money Mayweather. Let me go find, if I'm a narcissist, let me go find somebody else who's more narcissistic. Let me hang out with him and Kanye and Madonna. But the fact that they were listening to Drake, right? Because, we talk sports business and entertainment at the Ball Hog Sports Talk. It's so appropriate for this week because Drake's newsworthy week landed with him having relations with an Instagram model. We said it before. Yes, that is a LinkedIn-able career. Having relations with this Instagram model and decided to put hot sauce in the condom as he.
I can't wait for you to articulate this whole thing.
I'm trying to think how to. Well, anyway, said professional who happens to be an Instagram model. That's her LinkedIn-able career. Said Instagram model then takes the condom after he disposes of it and tries to put the contents of said condom into her body.
Because what else would you do with it?
Right.
Yeah.
And look,
it's got to go somewhere.
And when you're putting that link,
why waste $1 million of fertilizer when you have
when you're putting that LinkedIn-able career on a resume, you've got
that's a winning lottery ticket.
You gotta have examples of what you've done on the job. You gotta have active verbs.
When she goes to the Thought Olympics, is that what you said?
And then I did.
What have you done?
Right.
Check me.
I took the condom and I tried to put the contents of said condom into my body, and she quickly discovered that hot sauce, Frank's hot sauce, I'll put that ish on everything. It wasn't made to be in that particular cavity of her body. She screamed. She is now burning. Burning used to be a whole different meaning back in my day, but burning
the
now
condom was supposed to protect you from that.
I don't know where to go with this story, so there it is. What do y'all think about it, man?
I mean, hey, Drake is the real MVP. First of all,
MVP.
He's traveling with a bottle of hot sauce. He's thinking ahead. Like, most people don't think that far ahead. But that time, you're preoccupied with the moment. But he is a planner.
Love it,
I like Drake. He does halftime adjustments, right? This is a sports show. He has halftime adjustments. He's already expecting victory. He knows what's going to happen. And he's protected himself for future draft picks. He wants to make sure that there's no draft picks come out of there. So he does hot sauce. The best part of the story is that only in America she's trying to sue him now.
Right?
How dare he do that? Didn't he know what I might do? It's like having a fence around your pool, right? I might trip. I might get drunk and fall in your pool and drown, and that would be your fault because you didn't have a fence around it. How dare you make your semen have hot sauce in it when I burn it? Didn't you know I could potentially try to inseminate myself after you left?
I think Drake, and this is where this all ties in, but I do think Drake has laid a foundation, set an example, because how many, whether it be football, basketball, or just celebrities in general, right? This happens to be music in the sports business entertainment that we're talking about. This musician, this rapper made the decision to do that, protect himself. But
Tristan Thompson is taking notes.
Is taking notes. Now. But this Instagram model also, when she recounts the situation, she talks about how Drake went through lengths to make sure that the consent was clear, right? Almost sort of getting a signature, like went through links to make sure that the consent was clear, and went through links to protect himself from 18 years of dealing with this woman with a baby that was not planned. So maybe other athletes are doing it. There's an intersection between sports and business, man. Drake, look, man, you might have set the tone. Other athletes might be doing it. The hot sauce.
He's smart. He's a smart guy.
Hot sauce on my burrito.
Tristan Thompson needs some high-powered consulting on that front.
Yes. Because we are now talking about sort of, where the music business is, and my man Kodak Black, Black Jack in the NHL game, and then Drake, sitting there in the listening party with AB. How dare we not talk about some real sports? And in the NFL, there's some real sports. And in the NFL, there was some real decisions. In the NFL, there was some real hot sauce was put on a few seats on Monday, Black Monday, as they call it. I don't know why everything negative got to be Black Monday. For those of you who don't know, Black Monday is the Monday after regular season when all of these coaches go through the coaching carousel and that hot seat gets so hot that they get fired. Nothing was out of the ordinary until the Miami Dolphins, who in their last 9 games went 8-1, and only because of positioning didn't make the playoffs, but looked like they were going down the right path. They were in the right direction. Their head coach, Brian Flores, who last year again had so much credit, like these in the talks of like not heavy talks because the team didn't do well, but coach of the year based on what he was able to do with that group of people. And then again this year, coach of the year based on what he was able to do in riding the ship and going 8-1 in his last 9 games. That Brian Flores got fired. And at that point, it left only 2 Black NFL head coaches. We've since had another termination, but the Dolphins just can't get out of their own way. How do you fire him? He has since been interviewed for, I think, the Chicago Bears job, and I'm sure he'll get hired very soon if it hasn't happened already. Maybe during this show, Brian Flores will get hired. But the Miami Dolphins just can't get out of their way as an organization, but it's just the optics of it. In his 3rd year, having done what he's done with that roster, he still gets fired. And in plain view, in the public square, Black folk just can't get a break, man. How do you fire Brian Flores? And then Houston decides, the Texans say, hey, hold my beer. I'm going to show you how to really get down and be ignorant. They fire David Culley after 1 year. 1 year. A year marred by the fact that they didn't have their quarterback because he was somewhere getting massages. And had a very talent-depleted roster. He only lasts 1 year.
That's great. That's not crazier, but that's crazy. He got a job and you take your franchise quarterback away. Who could win with that? Who could win without a franchise quarterback with no replacement? You just take him away.
Like all-pro quarterback. All-pro quarterback.
One of the best quarterbacks in the league-ish conversation. He's suddenly gone in your first year. You haven't had a chance to put anybody on the thing, and they just get rid of you. Right. That, you know what? They deserve. The Texans deserve what they get. I think that the good old boy network of the NFL owners is just laughing at Miami, though. They're like, you fired him? Hey, come in for an interview. I mean, and that doesn't normally happen. You don't see a lot of Black coaches that get an opportunity when something happens where they just, boom, they can land on their feet. That's reserved for a small group of coaches. So I think it's hilarious. Everyone in the NFL is just like, all right, we're going to interview him. Now, if he, proof is whether he gets a job or not, but I think he will. I mean, it sounds like everybody wants him. Like, if you got rid of him, that's cool. It's like he's like that hot free agent. So I don't know what the hell Miami's doing. They deserve whatever happens.
I think the NFL took a black eye with a lot of the transactions of the last several years, and Colin Kaepernick and their response to that stands out in my mind. And, my people, a very group of woke folk, just they won't watch the NFL anymore. And it's situations like this. The fact that we still even call it Black Monday, right? Whatever, right? America's got an issue with the description of black. It's got to be negative. But there's no way, man, Brian Flores and then David Culley in the same week should get fired. And at that point, it leaves only one Black NFL head coach. You understand why folks have issues with the NFL, despite the 80% employment in terms of Black folk going out there and risking life and limb to play, you can't have black coaches. You get why people get upset with the NFL. It just doesn't make sense. And oh, by the way, that one coach is who we covered last week, hasn't had a losing season in 15 years. That's what you got to do in order to be a black coach in the NFL? That same coach took a very terrible Pittsburgh Steelers team. No offense, but all offense, Pittsburgh fans. He took that team to the playoffs this year with Ben Roethlisberger, who's 137 years old. You got to be that good as a coach in order to be black and wear a head coach title in NFL. It's crazy, man. Like, and I defended the NFL. Like, oh, it's not like that. And if you turn your back on the NFL, you got to remember some of those players are going to be negatively impacted by it. I tried to defend the NFL during some of the I call it Colin Kaepernick backlash years, but I can't defend this. How do you defend Brian Flores getting fired?
The Brian Flores thing is crazy. David, the fact that the Texans won any games this year is at least the opportunity to give this guy another year. They shouldn't have won any. I mean, J.J. Watt gone, D-Hop gone, Deshaun Watson waiting for his court dates. There's nobody left. Nobody left. And they still were able to win games. They were making games competitive.
Whose jersey would you buy? You go there and gift shop right now.
That's when you personalize it. Like, I need put my name in
my college.
Right. I'm straight. And then you might be on the practice squad.
Right. But
they might mistake you for a starter.
Right. Nah, we need you. Yeah, we're going to activate you this week. COVID protocol has a situation. Yeah. We need you this week. I know you haven't played in 20 years, but come on out here. But this makes you understand why a lot of my brethren and sistren have a real issue with the NFL, because it looks like, in plain view, a very, very, very hostile organization when it comes to being black and being a head coach.
Yeah,
I just don't understand how either one of those transactions happened this week, but yet they did.
Yeah, the crazy thing with Brian Flores is that the talk is that it was because of an issue with the GM around drafting Tua over Justin Herbert. And Tua, didn't he break his hip? Like, he was coming off major surgery at the time. So, like, that alone just sounds like a really bad excuse. Like, there's something they just wanted to get rid of him. Now, if he doesn't walk red carpet into another coaching job before the end of, like, February, the NFL there's no explanation other than excessive systemic racism, institutional racism.
I didn't want to use the word racist and racism because then immediately, right?
8-1.
Nobody gets fired going 8-1 to finish the season.
No, to finish the season. Right, so
not to start the season. What have you done?
But they were rotating quarterbacks the first half of the season. Didn't they have Fitzpatrick? This guy's 136 years old.
He's a 39-year NFL veteran.
No concussions. But I'll say this to you too, man. Not only did they go 8-1 in the last 9 games, but their last game, they beat a division foe by the name of the New England Patriots.
Who needed that win.
2-0. They were 2-0 against the Patriots. So I don't know what else you want.
Who else was not 8-1 at the end of the season? I'm like about 2 or 3 teams were 8-1.
Kansas City went on a run late. The Raiders went on a run late, but both are playoff teams.
Oh yeah.
So I just look, man. I hate to just say, because racism is one of those things that you got to experience it over and over again for me to use the word. But at some point, if it looked like a duck, it walked like a duck. It quacked like a duck. It's a duck, man. This just looks like the most racist approach to allowing black men to be in head coaching positions. And it is what it is. It is what it is in terms of, being in that role as a head coach in NFL. That your days are very limited and your seat is always hot. Unless you can go 15 seasons without having a losing season and be able to pull a rabbit out of the freaking hat and go to the playoffs with a terrible roster. Unless, if anything short of that, you're perpetually on the hot seat. And the NFL's got to deal with the mockery of the Rooney Rule, the mockery of diversity when it comes to the executive role in a locker room, being the head coach, it's a mockery. And they got to really live up to the fact that it comes across very racist. And I'll pause here to say, please like, comment,
it comes
share.
across very racist.
It comes because but you know where if you say
must be
that,
a lawyer.
That must be. But you know, if you say that, there's a whole community of people say, "Oh, here you go. You're playing the race card." They'll never really be able. You can bring the horse to the water, but never going to drink and say, "Yeah, this is racist." So I say come across just to leave the possibility that they inadvertently made it really tough to be black as a head coach. Oh no, I'm running out of options, NFL. What do we say here? What do we do? Like, come on, man. Come on, man. It's just messed up, man.
It's tough. It's a tough call.
It is very tough. And in this episode, Cruise Control.
It's only tough because you don't want to say it's racist. If you admit that it's racist, it makes your day so much easier.
You don't want to feel like, and I don't want to ever be that guy that's like, well, the only possible thing could be, but you like, what else could it be? You're 8-1 to finish the season. So what have you done? Like, you're trending in the right direction. So I would rather go get a brand new coach to come in here and start from scratch, brand new assistants, all these different people, and start from scratch. They can take the momentum that 8-1 gave me. That's so
why I
strong.
said if the next. I'll ride with you on the ambiguity of racism in this situation. But if he doesn't walk into a whole new gig immediately, then I'm not saying that it seems like racism.
Honestly, Miami's best bet is to say it was because he was black. Because if it's for any other reason, then seriously, hear me out. If it's for any other reason than racism,
well, at least you're honest.
Who would take the job? Why would a white dude take that job unless they assured him, no, it's just because he was black. Okay.
Right.
You know what I mean? If it was like, no, I had nothing to do with his race, who the fuck wants that job then?
Right. Like I can't look over my shoulder. I need a reassurance that I have white privilege in this situation.
I need to know that this won't happen to me. No.
Give me the protection of the complexion at least.
The only thing to me, that's the only thing that's the best thing the Dolphins can come away with. As far as I'm concerned. You know what I mean?
Listen, don't worry. You're not black. You're safe.
You're good. You're good. This is the NFL here. You're good. You're good.
You're fine.
Yeah. Being white is right in the NFL. It is. Look, man, we make fun of it because I think that's what you got to do.
All you can
right?
do is laugh.
You got to laugh to stop from crying. You know, but we talked about. I had Coach Ray Sherman on the show last year. Shameless plug. That was kind of we did that. Coach Ray Sherman, who had coached for a long time, black coach in the NFL. We talked about when Coach David Culley got hired. Was it a good hire? What was it, and was it just trying to make amends from a lot of the accusations of racism there in Houston, right? The Texans had some allegations, and so we said the David Culley hire was just trying. But then not even a full, like a year later, you undo what you've done, and it just makes you think. And Coach Sherman was politically correct in how he talked about the NFL, but he was pretty clear, too, with how challenging it is to be a black coach, whether it be position or head coach or coordinator in the NFL. But this just reeks of, man, not a very safe work environment in that industry if you decide to go take a job as a head coach in the NFL. I say this now real quickly. Please like, comment, share, tag a friend, tag a foe, tag anybody that you know. We talked about the one person that has maintained his role as head coach, Coach Mike Tomlin, as a brother. Coach Mike Tomlin. Quickly, playoff predictions, anything you guys are looking for. Let's get in and out because we got to do lightning round now, because we spent a lot more time on that than I thought we would, but worth it. I don't know who you guys think, in terms of playoffs, Ben Roethlisberger says they have no chance whatsoever against Kansas City. I think he was just posturing, but the bookies, Vegas, also say he has very little chance. They're a 12-point underdog. Any other storylines? I thought Ben Roethlisberger doing that was pretty interesting. I don't know if it was strategic and he's playing the game, cat-mouse game, or he really believes ain't got no chance.
I got mind control over the Chiefs.
Mind control.
I got Bills over Pats.
They think they're
that's
gonna
be a
win.
good one.
I
think
agree.
Bills can go with Pats.
You got Bills over Patriots.
And I got Cowboys losing.
I think Bills over Patriots too because of Brian Flores. What do I mean by that? People have shown that Bill Belichick in that AFC East, like, you can be beat. Very similar to the when Kirby was able to come up with the national championship game. He should call Jimbo Fisher and like, yo, I appreciate it, right? Because he saw it done before. As an understudy, you can beat Nick Saban. I think the same thing is true here. Buffalo beats New England in the playoffs because, they're going to look at that Miami games. Like, you know what? Bill Belichick, you're not unbeatable. You can be beat.
Beat by coaches that's fired.
Yeah, you got beat by a brother. Who does that? But I'm going Bills over Pats too. Who you got? I know you going Pats. You're New England.
Of course, it's the Pats, man. Bill Belichick does not lose twice to the Buffalo Bills in one season. It's not gonna happen.
Hey, the little brother syndrome wears off. It eventually wears off.
In Miami.
Yeah, Buffalo doesn't have Brian Flores.
Yeah. Who else you got? Who else you got?
Niners and the Bucks.
Niners over Bucks.
I got
Niners is the hottest
Cincinnati
team in all football.
Who's that? Niners.
You got Niners over Bucks.
Niners. No, they're over the Cowboys.
No, I'll take the 49ers over the whoever the Cowboys are playing. I'll take them.
Whoever they're playing, you'll take them because you believe that the Cowboys don't have a chance.
No.
And I just really, really hope it happens.
And I take the Steelers.
I'm going to go put my money where my mouth is. 12 hours from now, I'll put some money down on it. Let y'all see my car. I'll post my bet.
And I got the Steelers upsetting Vegas.
You got the Steelers upsetting Vegas and upsetting their own quarterback.
Upsetting the spread. They're going to lose. But they're not going to lose by 48.
Take him off the screen. The spread, I could go with you on that one.
All right, so you...
As long as they keep their jerseys on and don't take them off in the end zone, they will beat the spread.
All right, I'm saying they're not going to cover. The Chiefs are going to mollywop them because that's the Sunday night game. And Pat Mahomes normally acts a donkey in the biggest stages, and they've been playing very well. Cardinals over Rams? No.
I got to go LA. Beckham's going to have a game.
I'm going to go Cardinals.
You going Cardinals?
I'm going Cardinals. They got so much talent.
They do. And Kyler Murray to me, I'm going with the quarterback that gives me the most plays that he should not have made. I'm going with Kyler Murray to make more plays. And Matt Stafford is Matt Stafford. So I'm going with Kyler Murray. Eagles and Buccaneers. Who you got?
Bucks. Eagles are. Should they even show up? I got the Bucks.
You're going Bucks.
If you want,
I think we all go Bucks. All right, we all going Bucks. Raiders, Bengals. Who you got?
I got Cincy, baby.
Cincy's hot right now.
They hot. I like the quarterback too.
And you playing at home. It's worth saying that Cardinals Rams game is the first playoff game ever to be on Monday Night Football. I think that puts them both at a disadvantage. Well, not both, because only one team can win. But
they're both disadvantaged.
Yeah, but whoever wins is at a disadvantage because you got less recovery time, right? I guess they'll figure out what's up.
Especially if they're playing a team that played on Saturday in the next round, or are they? Who would they play in the next? Who would
they play? I don't know, but you got one less day of recovery, regardless.
Yeah, at least one.
Minimum. At least one.
And if you're playing a bye team, 2 weeks plus one.
Straight up. We'll see, man. Should be a very good weekend of NFL playoff football. I picked the Cowboys on this show to make it to the NFC Championship game. And I'm going to stick with it, man, because I'm never going to say those words, you never the Cowboys, in an obnoxious way like the Cowboys fans. But I do think that they've got the team. They're serviceable. I'm going to use that word. They've got the team to make it to the NFC Championship game. Now, at one point, I thought it would be cool to see the Diggs brothers in the Super Bowl together because you got one coming from the AFC, right? Stephon Diggs playing for the Bills. You got Trayvon Diggs playing for the Cowboys. Playing for the Cowboys. I thought that would be cool to have a brotherly matchup in the Super Bowl. I know we've had coaches coach against each other in the Super Bowl. I don't know if two brothers have ever played against each other in the Super Bowl. That'd be kind of cool. And then, one's playing offense, one's playing defense. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
But you don't
Like
think
matched up against each other.
that would be pretty cool.
That would
be pretty cool.
And
I
take
hope
you
it
back to
happens.
the 90s, Bills Cowboys.
Yeah, selfishly, I hope it happens because I'm raising these Brown brothers. I like to see that. Diggs brothers, y'all go ahead, man. Y'all go ahead and do it. What's up, my man, Cheeky Black? He does say that the Cardinals have no D-Hop, but I still think that the Cardinals win. D-Hop got hurt. I still think the Cardinals figure out a way. Kyler Murray makes more plays than Matt Stafford, and I'm going Cardinals over the Rams in the first ever Monday Night Football NFL playoff game. NFL figured out, man. They figure out how to make them pennies, baby. They ain't messing around. We got to get to the NBA, man, because Klay is back. Klay Thompson is back this week. Last week we dealt with Kyrie being back. This week is Klay is back. But since being back, they're 1-2. First game out, played pretty well. Second game out, played pretty well. But they lost to Ja Morant. We're going to get to Ja Morant. And then last night, they got mollywopped. They got whooped by the Bucks. What do you think? Does Klay being back with Golden State, a team that was already only half game out in terms of number one in the West, but they've been very hot lately. Do you think Klay being back makes them the odds favorite to not only win the West, but maybe win the championship?
I mean, they had the best record without him, but we haven't even seen the three, Draymond, Curry, and Klay on the court together, except for the ceremonial tip-off when Klay came back. And so Draymond's still out. Once he's back, I mean, look, Wiggins is playing out of his mind. So the Warriors.
So it's Gary Payton the second, baby. GP.
I called it preseason or first week of the season. Warriors Bucks finals. I'm sticking with it.
You're sticking with it. All right. What do you think? Does Klay being back make them the odds favorite? Big Flow show?
No, the Lake Show gonna pull it together.
Oh man.
The Lakers gonna put Cowboys, man.
How many more weeks before you can't say that convincingly of yourself?
You're living on a prayer, man. Stop it. Stop it. They lost to the Kings. They lost to the Kings.
AD go come
for the
back.
17th time this season.
You forgot Sacramento had a team. They lost to a team that you forgot played in the NBA this week. They did.
Name one starter on Sacramento.
DeAndre Fox. But other than DeAndre Fox,
I believe that AD gonna come back. He's gonna be fresh. LeBron and them gonna work out their differences. Westbrook, I don't know, man. Yeah, they the odds on favorite.
You living on a prayer.
Yes,
they're
the odds
yourself
on
out of that. You just had an individual debate. So
I had it on myself. I had to come to Jesus. Everybody watching, I can see everybody looking at me like, "What you gonna say?"
Right. You can't say nothing tough about the Lakers right now, man. They look bad. But the teams that everyone did talk about this week, other than the Lakers losing to the Kings, that was a big story, were the Warriors and the Nets. The Warriors because they got Klay Thompson back. The Nets because for the first time, well, not the first time, but in 2 years, the big three in Brooklyn have only played together a grand total of, in 2 seasons now, a grand total of 13 times. And we got to see it this week against the Chicago Bulls, who have the number 1 spot in the East right now. They had beaten the Nets twice. But I felt like in the third quarter of that game, we got to see the beast unleashed. They went on a 42-8 run. And it was kind of like they put the entire NBA on notice that at any point, because Kyrie only had 9 points, but then Harden started acting a donkey. When Harden acting a donkey, you can't double Harden because he's playing point. You can't help off of KD because he's the most prolific scorer maybe ever in NBA history. So what do? And then they had 2 dudes that I didn't know their name before the game in the starting 5, but yet they looked unbeatable. I'm going with the Nets coming out of the East, not the Bucks. Because the Nets, if all 3 of them could play, I don't know. And then in the other game that everybody talked about in the NBA this week, you had the Warriors playing Memphis. And Ja Morant put everybody on notice. I think it was a game after he against the Lakers when he ran down a layup and picked it off the backboard with 2 hands. It looked like he was flying, man. He almost hit his head on the backboard. That was against your Lakers. Big Flow show.
Mhm.
So we should
Mhm.
we should have known then. But Ja Morant acted a fool, man. He is definitely the next coming. He's been compared to Allen Iverson several times, but he looked like he is his own the reputation against Steph Curry and the Warriors. But the story of that game was in a big moment, he has an and one. He goes into the crowd, and a little kid with a Steph Curry jersey on tries to give him a pound. He's like, nah, bro. Is that too competitive? At what point is it too competitive?
That's not too competitive to me.
That's too competitive to me, man.
Yeah, Steph Curry. You didn't root for me. You can't bandwagon during the game. Take the jersey off.
Yeah, that's called a life lesson. That is a very important life lesson. Don't try to be a fair weather fan. You stick with your team.
You got a Steph Curry jersey.
Yeah, don't.
My jersey's cheaper. You right. Went for the more expensive jersey. What about it?
Yeah, but the organization, great marketing opportunity for them. As a result of just that one incident, they created a jersey trade-in day. So any kid 12 and under, bring their jersey of any team, and they can get a Ja Morant jersey or a Jaren Jackson Jr. jersey and 2 tickets to the game, some game like a Tuesday night game. Brilliant. And hopefully you'll see no more away. Like the fact that Memphis is on a 10-game win streak, and you're going to disrespect your home team and show up in a Warriors jersey? Come on.
You know why, though? Because Steph Curry is the most likable player in all sports on the planet, basically. And I thought Ja Morant, look, from a game perspective, I have nothing to critique. But, okay, you do it in that moment. But in the post-game interview, come on, man, let it go. Just, you know what? I got caught in the moment. My bad, little man. He didn't even do that. He's like, nah, bro. Take the jersey off.
I love it.
Marketing.
You got to teach this generation.
I love it.
The meaning of loyalty.
Too competitive for me. That's psycho level competitive, man.
Well, you're the one that would sit out the national championship.
But I would be pom-poms. I'll be cheering like harder than ever. Like, yo, my bro in a sweat. He really going hard for us, man. I'll be cheering for my teammates, man. Y'all go win. Rah, rah, rah. Get that dub. The other game that everyone's talking about from the week, the Nets whooping the Bulls, also brings another situation into play, because now it's been reported that if the Nets wanted Kyrie to play home games, they get a warning the first time, then the fine would incrementally move up, but the highest it would get is $5,000. I didn't realize it was a backdoor option for them. For them to do this, right? And look, they've only played together 13 times in the last 2 years, and they are 10-3 in those games. So obviously they want it. Good or bad that there's that option that you can just pay your way. It's almost like carbon credits. Like, if we really want to save the planet, then don't get. Like, exactly, if you really want to stop the pandemic, you can't allow him to pay his way out.
Just pay the toll. Just pay the toll.
Good or bad for basketball before we let you go, Big Flo?
Bad. I think the Nets are doing it the right way. They didn't do it right away and jump out there and say, I don't care. It's like, let him play a little bit. Nobody got sick. He's good. Like, they're fine. There's no story. They see it's okay. His game is right now. It's worth it. You know, now the Nets fans have an appetite to see him back. But yeah, it's kind of bad that you could just pay money for the health. I mean, that's especially if it's serious enough that there's a ban that you can't play. Money there shouldn't be a price tag on health and safety. But this is America.
This is America. Got a price. Good or bad, ETP, and then we're gonna let Big Flo Show get out of here. What do you say? Good or bad?
It's excellent. I think it's excellent because it just exposes the absurdity of all the protocols and the way that this whole process has just been mismanaged. And of course, like you said, it's the same example as telling the next head coach of the Miami Dolphins that his job is safe because he's not black. Right. It's like, don't worry, we'll just pay for it. It's all good.
Good old capitalism. My man, the Big Flo Show. Thank you for another great week, man. We'll see you next week. Enjoy your weekend, my brother.
All right, any bets y'all needed me to place? I'm gonna be in Vegas.
Nah, man, go enjoy yourself, man. Just put the camera phone down. All right.
No bets. Okay.
Yeah,
that sounds good. All right, y'all. Easy.
Big love, man, for the Big Flow Show. All right, now we're going to take you home. My man, ETP, and I are going to bring it home with a interesting transition because you said it's bad for basketball. No, you said it's good for capitalism, but bad for the health of America. I don't know. I got lost in figuring out why you would think it's okay.
It's consistent. It's consistent with everything that has been happening. So at least we're being honest now. We're being honest.
This is about the money. But there is another sport where a celebrity, a star, one of the best in the sport, is not allowed to pay his way out. In fact, he's about to be deported. Tennis. Greatest player in the game, the men's game, is about to be deported from Australia. He's getting his visa revoked because of a COVID issue. They ain't playing around over there. It's just like night and day when you compare that to how the Nets could just pay $5,000 and let Kyrie play.
Right.
Is it America that's messing this up because sports and the dollar is so we're enticed by it so much that we can't think through common sense? Because you compare the tennis situation to the NBA, it's night and day.
Yeah, I mean it's different national policies. I think capitalism going back. So now we'll just do a little, a real serious capitalism exploration, because the healthcare industry in the United States of America is totally privatized. There's way more hospital beds. If it's all focused on the money, the amount of people that die isn't really the number that we're counting. It's how many beds are open. And because we're in a capitalist society, the healthcare industry has tons of beds. So they're like, just pay the toll as long as we don't clog the hospitals. Australia's been really committed to this. I think the craziest thing about this is the tennis association was like, yeah, you straight. Come on into Australia without asking Australia. Right. And it gets there and they're like, yeah, who told you that you were here? It's like, oh yeah, my man said that I was good.
And Djokovic isn't. He's not vaccinated.
He's not vaccinated. He had a medical exemption because he got COVID in December. He had COVID in December. Somebody in the processing made the mistake of thinking that precludes you from being required to have a vaccine. Right. And the prime minister of Australia, Border Patrol, basically they didn't get their cut of the decision making, whatever that entails, and put an end to it. Made him stay in a hotel for about a week. And then
with his rackets, keep your rackets there too. They contaminated too. Everything that came with you got the cooties, bro.
But now they're talking about he still might not make it in, even after they allowed. They're revoking his visa now. So it's just crazy. So again, that's why I say it's excellent to see this Brooklyn Nets.
But over here in America, like, look,
if you don't want COVID ruining your tournaments, right, all in your videos,
right,
come on over to the US.
Come on over here and play in the NBA. But even the concept of being able to play on the road but not being able to play at home was a bit weird. When you think of it's a virus, that has risen to pandemic levels, but you're gonna let them play away, not home. I don't think you get any less dangerous away than you are at home when it comes to spreading a virus and having safety protocols in place. But now, even with that, there's a way around it. But if you pay the low price, and the first time it's a warning.
Right.
Like
it's less than a parking ticket.
Right. We're gonna give you a warning, man.
They don't even warn you for a parking ticket. You just get the parking ticket. But COVID.
The COVID, you get
infecting 18,000 people. Right. Just don't do it again.
Like we ask you every week, please like, comment, share, tag a friend, tag a foe, and subscribe in the podcast world. Wherever you do subscribe to podcasts, please subscribe to the Ball Hog Sports Talk, and you can go ahead and subscribe in our YouTube channel. We'll go home with this, man, because I wanted to talk about college basketball, and I'll leave it with this because, first of all, Notre Dame is playing well. In this episode of Cruise Control, we're going to cruise right through. You'll see. We'll cruise right through the winter months, and we'll be in March Madness in no time. And because we lost a year of revenue, a year and a half, really, of revenue in college football, let's call it a full year. If you look at what we lost this year, what we lost last year, the modified schedule, the bowl games, and all the games that got canceled, a lot of money was lost. We absolutely lost the money when it came to the NCAA college basketball in 2020. In March, that's when all of this started. And when they canceled March Madness, NCAA tournament, in March of 2020, we knew that this was real. So 2 years later, it's interesting to see that now college basketball, I think, is back to its normal state of affairs. They played last season with very few people in the stands, and it was different. This season feels a lot more like normal. So started watching it because, finally in that transition period where I can put my attention in college basketball. 2 unbeatens. The last 2 unbeatens, USC and Baylor, lost this week. USC, first time in 40 years, they made the top 5. And how do they respond? They lose. So that was fun. It was a bad, and I say fun because I'm a Notre Dame guy and I hate USC. But it's a bad week to be a college basketball player in California because last night, UCLA, the number 3 team, also lost, and they lost to an unranked team in Oregon. So this week, Arizona is probably going to ascend to the number 1 seed, and college basketball is finally back. I give that quick update before we take it home. In this episode of Cruise Control, while we started off talking about all the New Year's resolutions that have been broken, we got into some great topics, talked about the NCAA college football playoffs. They did get it right. The 2 best teams played in an epic game. We talked about Kodak Black and his NHL affinity and how he likes to spend his time during an NHL game, I shall say. The NFL, we talked about the NBA, we talked about tennis, we talked about NCAA basketball. This has been another great week of the Ball Hawk Sports Talk, where sports, business, and entertainment collide. The entire crew thanks you for all your support, and we ask you like, comment, share, tag a friend, tag a foe, and please subscribe. We'll be back next week, another Friday, another riveting week, bringing it to you rough, rugged, and raw. We'll be here again, making sure that at that intersection of sports, business, and entertainment, you see us doing our thing. Love your support. We thank you for it. Y'all have a great weekend. Enjoy the second part of the first month of a new year, however that works out. This has been the Cruise Control episode. We thank you again for your support. We is out. Peace.